Okay, welcome to A Reason for Hope.
Thanks,
Thank you, Sean, so much for that. As you guys could tell, it's a little bit different.
What could go wrong?
What can go wrong? You know what I noticed about that little mishap on A Reason for Hope was that, he hit more buttons.
I saw him press several buttons. I didn't count. I should have counted how many, but it was several
It
buttons.
was a little more than
It was not just one. Yes.
Yeah, it wasn't just hit one. My notes said hit one. Anyway, sorry for the mishap. You're listening to A Reason for Hope, and I'm your host today, Bo Willette, and I've been on A Reason for Hope in the past, off and on, answering questions, so I know my voice isn't going to be too odd for people. Pastor Scott and Sean Richards are taking a little bit of a break so that me and you can have some time doing the show together, David. And this is, if you don't know who I'm with, this is David Guzik from EnduringWord.com. And so welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, Bo. It's a real pleasure to be on with you.
Yeah,
so
totally.
Thanks for the opportunity.
This is a first for us.
It is.
I don't think I've ever interviewed you or...
No, I think like last year I did this with Scott or something, but I've never done it with you.
Yeah, and so me and you go back a ways.
A long ways.
A long ways, that's right. And I'm going to do something at our service at 6:30.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm going to...
Is it like a surprise to me, or can you tell me?
It's a surprise.
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
So I'm going to hold off on it. But anyway, you're going to be teaching here at Calvary Christian Fellowship today.
Yes. I'm very happy to have the invitation.
Yeah, so I'm excited about kind of hearing you and getting in the Word with you. My wife Sylvia and I, you were our first pastor.
Yes.
Out in California, and we met you when we were really young, and so it's just wonderful to be able to have you here. And your voice is such a familiar voice, to us. But I know it's not only to me nowadays. I mean, a lot of people hear you and listen to you. And so it's a familiar voice to a lot of people now. And it blesses us to see that, God's using you in this kind of way, man, in just a powerful way.
Sometimes it surprises me, the kind of reach that the Lord gives what we do. But you know what our attitude is? We just try to stay focused on what God wants us to do.
Yeah.
We do it faithfully, and whatever reach it has in whatever season it is, we just commit that to God. So if it's, the reach seems to be extending at times, we're grateful for that. But, look, it's true. Things run in seasons. Things that are popular today might not be popular in 6 months.
Yeah.
And, we don't run like slaves chasing that kind of thing. We just try to do what the Lord gives us to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. If you want to be a part of A Reason for Hope, you certainly could, send your questions on the YouTube channel or Facebook or X, as it's now called. It used to be called Twitter. Questions for Hope. So there's a variety of ways that people can ask questions. I'm not going to pepper you with a ton of questions during the show because we got some catching up to do.
We do.
And so we'll just hang out and let people kind of observe our connection.
Yes.
Because I tend to see you just as a kind of just a brother, in Christ, and I see you more as a surfer, a guy, or
we're just guys who've known each other for a long time.
Yeah,
the guy preaching in the junior high school auditorium, that's
Yes, and what's weird is we do have some questions already though that have come in, so do be on your guard for those.
I will. Yeah, I'm just leaving that up to you, Bo.
Yeah,
I'm just flowing with what you're doing, man.
Okay, so when I first met you, it was I was really young. I was like 17 years old. I was a senior in high school, but I remember going to a portable like in Midtown, Simi Valley, or somewhere out there, Tapo Canyon. Or
yeah.
It was like a portable
room.
room.
That was the very first place we started meeting.
Yeah.
There were these YMCA daycare trailers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I remember,
Ooh,
walking up the ramp and walking in there, and there was like 5 people at your church.
It must have seemed so cultish, man.
Dude, I didn't know what I was doing. All I know is some guy sobered up in AA, and I lived in an Alcoholics Anonymous recovery home with my dad, and this guy, Stoney,
Yeah.
said, "Bro, dude, I got saved at a Calvary Chapel in Big Bear with Chuck Mitzler."
Okay. Yeah.
And so, and he was like really excited. And so he kind of was like, "Hey, Bo, I heard you're reading the Bible." Because I was,
Yeah.
I was reading the Bible. I was kind of curious. A lot of my reggae kind of bands were into it. And so I was kind of, and he said, "Dude, you need to go to Calvary Chapel." And then somehow he found out that there was one in this portable room going to be happening, or something was going on.
Yeah.
So that's why I went. So I went by myself and just walked in there. And no joke, it was probably like 5 people.
You want to know the funny thing? When
What?
we very first, we got together and we said, okay, we're going to start like the second Sunday of 1990 is when we're going to start. And so we said, okay, let's have like a rehearsal the first Sunday. And so through this connection in Simi Valley, we got this key to this daycare trailer that we could use. And okay, great, we can use this. And we get there with like 5 people to like see what we can do to set up and start this thing. And we go and we try the key in the door to open up, and it won't work. It just doesn't work. It won't turn. And so, you know what you do, whatever, you jiggle, you work, you do this.
Yeah.
Nobody can get the key to work, this or that. And so I'm like scoping the building out. I'm like, man, okay, it's okay if we're in here. We got a key from some official guy. I'm like, maybe we can kind of jimmy a window open and crawl through a window or something like that. And then, somebody there, I won't say who, they're kind of like, come on, man, we're starting a church here. You can't be breaking into the place, okay, this, that. And so finally somebody says the words that you dread hearing. They say, well, why don't we pray? And Bo, look, I'm a logical man. I'm like, look, if a key don't work, it don't work. Prayer is going to make the key work like this. But what am I going to say? I'm supposed to be the pastor. Let's pray. No, we're not going to pray. And so, okay, all right, let's pray. So we prayed. I tell you what, man, I think it was my wife, Ingalil. Right after we prayed, she picked up that key, she put it in things, and it opened. And it never opened again. I mean, we blocked it open, but it was the wrong key.
Oh, man.
It was the wrong key. And when we prayed, it worked.
How weird.
I tell you, the only thing you could say, it was the Lord. It was...
That bent the iron.
I don't know, something like that, and then
aluminum.
bent it back because it didn't work after that. Gosh. It was just, it was so crazy.
I just remember walking in that room. I remember, it might have filled up when it started. I just remember when I got there, it wasn't that many people. I remember, I think Pete LaJoy might have been there.
Probably, yeah.
I met you. I think that was the first introduction, like of just, you might have said, hey, come on in or something.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. But then you moved to, it just happened that you moved to the junior high that I actually went to growing up.
Yeah.
And I actually lived on 4th Street. So I lived right.
Yeah, it was right close to where you lived.
Yeah. So I could just get up and walk over there. But so it's been a long time. And it's funny. We just had a wonderful conference here in Tucson, Calvary Tucson. And, we went over the book of Ephesians.
Yes, we did.
And someone commented on, enjoying your teaching, and I think one of my things I shared is I think Dave. I've always remembered Dave teaching, like this, and meaning I've always remembered you being, your teaching was just through the Bible in a very kind of, I don't want to say simple, but it's just a very, boom, 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 boom kind of way.
I take simple as a compliment. I really do. I mean, that's what I'm shooting for.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be simple. Never forget, I'm a big fan of Charles Spurgeon.
Yeah.
Spurgeon talks
Just a
about,
little bit.
yeah, when he was converted, it was because he walked into a church on a snowy morning, couldn't get to his regular church, and a deacon was filling in for the regular pastor. And he said that the deacon was so ignorant that all he could do was stick to his text. And it's like, that's me. That's me. All I could do, I'll just stick to the text.
Yeah.
And so, that's really what I'm aiming for when I preach, when I teach, is just that simplicity, clarity, simplicity.
Yeah, because it's like I notice a lot of pastors, even me included, a lot of times, sometimes we'll rely on anecdotal stories of our own life. and it's very easy to do where you become kind of, you maybe, some of them you can tell, some get it more into jokes, some get more into stuff like that. Someone like me has a lot of life stories, so you kind of, you tend to tell a ton of life stories.
I know. I wish I had your life so I had all your stories, man.
Well, what I'm saying, it's nice that you have been able to discipline kind of your mind in a way where you just kind of go whatever you learned from Chuck back in the day. And I've seen pictures of you in those in Calvary magazine where you're really young, they're under Chuck at the college and stuff like that. But just staying with it, just staying simply through it. And I always remembered that, and me and Sylvia have always remembered that Dave's always taught that way. We're just a real kind of beautifully powerful, and passionate, but very just simple and practical approach to, teaching.
Right.
And, it's funny, like I've seen a lot of pastoral notes, and your notes are just really laid out kind of just there. And it's not like a ton of them. It's like, it's not like you wrote
no, I'm certainly not writing out every word.
Right.
My common thing is I'm not preaching from a manuscript, but I have an outline there.
Yeah, you have that nice outline, and I think that outline is something that a lot of pastors can learn from. It's nice to have an outline, but you don't want to go too much when you're teaching too. You don't want to have 10 pages,
right?
Of stuff. So it's kind of nice. It's like it's a teaching. Just by you making them available to all of us, we get to kind of get into your world and go, oh, I see how it looks.
Well, and who would have thought that, over the years, that would have been the biggest reach God gives me in ministry is, we call it the Enduring Word Bible Commentary, but really it's just my teaching notes. That's what it is. That's what goes out to people. It's a commentary.
Yeah.
So there's this weird kind of blessed circumstance that what I prepared for myself was helpful for other people as Bible commentary. And who would have thought that? That's just how it worked.
Yeah, well, it's been a blessing. I know a lot of people are blessed by it. I know you a little more differently than other people just because of our the longevity of it.
You come and you stayed in our home, man.
Yeah,
Right.
Totally. And so I see you as just, I shouldn't say that, but I see you as a man, and you're a brother and you're a mentor and all that, but as a man, and there's always chinks in all of our armor. There's always like things, do you find that that's something that you have to just remind yourself of, especially with all the travel and all the speaking and all the people coming up and saying, hey, I love the commentaries. And I can tell you're getting a lot of that nowadays. Do you have to just have that time, as a man?
What you have to understand, keep telling yourself is, first of all, when people are being kind and they come up and make those comments, I think they're telling the truth. I don't think they're lying or anything or just empty flattery. And so I'm grateful for that. But at the same time, I'm very aware that they're seeing one side of me. And they're basically seeing me, in some ways, at my best. The things that I've put the focus on the last 40 years in my life and ministry, and God's gifted me in these areas and such. But, the people that matter the most, I'm not saying those people don't matter, they do. But the people that matter the most are the people you live with and you be around and just know you in and out.
Yeah.
And it's not like, I'll take my wife, for example. You know my wife, Ingalil.
Yeah.
And, she's so supportive and encouraging having to do with my ministry. But she just sees me in raw, everyday life, too.
Yeah.
So it's not like that part of it is a lie, the ministry part, but it's not the whole picture.
Yeah.
And that's why, this gets back to biblical stuff as to why the qualifications for leaders are kind of the character things that come from the home and the family and those kind of things. Because that's who a person really is. And so I suppose it's it's possible for a person who does like a lot of traveling or itinerant ministry, speaks in front of a lot of different crowds, to kind of isolate themselves from that real life contact with people who know them in a lot of different ways, not just as the guest speaker that kind of always tends to get overestimated. But I value those relationships in real life.
Yeah, I think people were blown away by like what happened to Ravi Zacharias, and what a powerful, used gentleman that guy was on this planet. But a guy who traveled a lot, was all over the place.
Yeah.
And I would imagine those kind of things come into your brain too as you just are out and about, and of just how do I, keep myself in the right frame of mind,
Well, I don't want to sound too simplistic with it.
Yeah.
But, there's obviously things that you wouldn't do in life if you're around a bunch of people who know you and are connected to your life. That if you're just off on your own somewhere, you feel like this liberty to do.
Yeah.
But what it comes back to is really having first and foremost a fear of God before that. Knowing that God is always with me.
Yeah.
And that it matters in my life about pleasing Him, and He sees everything.
Yeah.
And He cares about everything. So yeah, those kind of struggles for integrity, they can be really difficult. An itinerant lifestyle challenges those things.
Right. Yeah.
And you better be up for the challenge.
Yeah.
You better, because it's tragic, the failures that happen under that.
Yeah, and I'm sure in your ministry life, because you started very young.
I did.
From what I know, it was in Oxnard, very young, maybe a late teenager.
I started teaching home Bible studies when I was 16 years old.
16.
Yeah. And then by the time I was 19 years old, when a good friend, Lance Ralston, and we put together 2 home Bible studies, and we started Calvary Chapel of Oxnard.
And Lance, you're doing things with Lance
okay.
nowadays.
Lance. So it's kind of a cool story. We started the church by putting together 2 home Bible studies in 1982, September 1982. I was a month away from my 20th birthday, so I was still 19. And the bottom line is Lance and I worked together for 7 years at Calvary Chapel of Oxnard. Then I came out to Simi Valley. But Lance stayed in Oxnard, and he pastored that church for 42 years.
Wow.
And did a marvelous job. I tell you what, that church was healthy and vibrant when he handed it off, and it continues to be healthy and vibrant.
That's awesome.
Which is a marvelous testimony to Lance's ministry there over the time, that it wasn't just based on him or founded on him, but it really was about the Lord. And so now he has come back. We work together now still with the ministry I have, Enduring Word. So Lance is a big part of our staff.
And people can go to Enduring Word on YouTube, because that's where I watch a lot of stuff.
That's correct. They can find me on YouTube and find our channel either for searching for my name or just search for Enduring Word.
Okay.
And they'll find the channel. And praise the Lord, God's given us a good reach as a channel.
Yeah.
And we love putting out what we do.
Yeah, and Lance he's sharp. He is a sharp guy.
Oh, yeah. One of the things that we really value, that is not the only thing, he has coming out soon on Enduring Word on our YouTube channel, a series on church leadership.
Okay.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, because I could tell he hones into stuff.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
But another thing that he's honed into, and he does an ongoing series on our YouTube channel, is about church history.
Okay.
And it's really
that's the one
wonderful.
I've listened to, and I'm just like, wow,
Yes, you could tell that man does his homework.
Yeah, it is impressive.
Yes.
Very cool. Well, that's neat. Church leadership. Okay, so you started young, and then so you've been around the block quite a bit, and so you've probably seen a lot. There's been a lot of amazing highs, I would imagine, and a lot of lows as well. You've probably seen a lot of. Not everybody stays in the ministry. Not everybody keeps it going, kind of thing. And you've probably seen a little bit of both, I would imagine.
A few weeks ago, we met at a memorial with some former Bible college students of ours. Because after Simi Valley, I went to Germany, and I was the director of a Calvary Chapel Bible College campus there for 7 years, director and a teacher. And we had so many wonderful relationships with so many great young people. And so we were at a memorial a few weeks ago, and we were connecting with some of the young people that were at our Bible college. We didn't know they were going to be there. Oh, look, it's so-and-so from the Bible college days, and we're talking. And part of that was such a blessing, saying, oh, they're doing so good, and isn't it great? And then they told us about a student who was there for a semester, and man, Bo, the guy murdered somebody, and he's in prison.
Man.
And it's like,
wow.
It's like high and low. I mean, they're doing so great, and then this other poor guy, I mean, and I don't say poor guy to absolve him of responsibility at all, but just, man, how sad, how tragic, how his life has gone, the direction he's took it in. So that's kind of an extreme example of what you see over the years, both the highs and the lows.
And you just got done teaching Ephesians 3.
Yeah, the first 13 verses.
First 13 verses. Now, it's interesting that I've heard you teach that passage before. I want to say at a different Calvary Pastors
All right,
conference.
Well, it's just you and I here, right?
It's me and you. No one's even listening. I'm going to put it on mute now. Mute.
But okay, this is how it worked out. So they invited me to the conference this year, and they said, we're going to teach through Ephesians.
Okay.
And they kind of blocked it out in different blocks. Do you want to pick a block?
Yes.
And I'm like, oh man, I love that Ephesians 3, 1 through 13, but can I take that one? And they say, yeah, sure, you can do it. Okay, so I forgot completely. Well, I just didn't think about it again until a few weeks ago when I'm like, okay, I'm going to be preaching this conference in Tucson. I got to get through and get ready. So I start going into my notes. And Bo, I realized that I preached the exact same passage 10 years before at the same conference.
Okay, so I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy.
You're not crazy.
Okay.
And so look, obviously I went through and prepared the message again, and it wasn't exactly the same, but it was like 80% the same.
Yeah,
it was especially in the big themes of it, it was the same. So dude, you are not tripping at all. It was 10 years ago, because I looked it up. It was 2016.
2016.
Yes, when apparently they were going through Ephesians again. And this is what I told myself. I said, listen, man, it's 10 years.
Yeah.
Who's going to, well, I thought somebody's going to remember. And it's you. Maybe it's more people too.
Out of all the people.
But it's you. But
it's because I'm your number one fan, man.
Well, praise the Lord, man.
That's
awesome.
When I saw you at Ephesians 3, right before you even said a word, I went, wait, I had this check. He was on this stage.
Yeah.
He was on this stage. I was like,
I was on that platform.
Yeah, man. I was like, man, I think I saw him, I was kind of trying to wrestle with it. Like, wait, was it here?
Yeah. But it sounds kind of wacky. It's like, no, really?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. But no, it was the same passage.
Now, that I wasn't bummed at all that you had that same passage. Yeah. And to all those that had Dave do that passage,
hey, I was
that didn't know he was.
It didn't bother me at all.
No.
Yeah.
It's funny that they maybe overlooked it, but I thought it was great that you had the same passage because that passage just share a little bit about what's so amazing about that passage. You used you said what was really interesting about it was that we were I don't know, was it we shared, or you said we are there was like a section that you said this is what's amazing about that passage.
It's verses 10 and 11.
Yeah.
And in verses 10 and 11 there in Ephesians chapter 3, Paul says that God is using the church to display his manifold wisdom, his many-sided wisdom, to the principalities and powers in heavenly places.
Which is awesome.
Which is mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's
that
mind-blowing.
God uses the church to teach the angels a lesson, angelic beings. We'll make it broad. It's angelic beings. And a quote years ago when I was teaching the Ephesians from John Stott really, made the penny drop for me. He says, and I'll just kind of do it from memory. He goes, okay, so here's the thing, the universe is the theater, or the world is the theater. the church are the actors. God is working it through. But who's the audience? He says it's angelic beings are the audience. It's these principalities and powers. And God is using us to teach them his wisdom.
Yeah. And you kind of we get glimpses of this throughout the scriptures.
One of the best ones is the book of Job.
Right. And you
the
pointed
whole
that.
book of Job.
Yeah, you pointed that out.
Yes.
But it's not the only place. I mean,
No.
you can go into Ezekiel, and you can go into the book of
Yes.
Revelation, and you can go into other sections where there's kind of a parting of the skies, so to speak, and we get a glimpse into something.
Yeah, I quoted briefly this passage in 2 Kings where Elisha and his servant are surrounded by these Syrian troops.
Right.
And the servant's freaking out, and Elisha says, Lord, open his eyes. And instantly he sees that they're surrounded by this angelic presence.
Yeah.
And but it's this kind of thing we want to be careful with, because we understand that there's people who could get weird with this.
Nowadays, we can get weird with anything.
It's true. But the truth is kind of inherently weird.
Yeah.
That we are surrounded by spiritual beings of intelligence and powers, angelic spirits, faithful angels and fallen angels that surround us and observe us. And part of what God is doing in us is he works through us so that he can teach them a lesson.
Yeah, there's something about the grace of the deity that blows the heavenly hosts
Yes.
away. And I would imagine it goes something like this, that the deity is what makes the deity is his holiness,
Yeah.
which obviously brings about judgment on sin.
Sure.
And then there's this grace that is bestowed on this marred image of humanity. And the working of Messiah in the world to win that restoration of that marred image is that whole working plan, that whole work of Messiah, and how the deity is going to come to the planet and win it. And I always think of it like I work in a lot of hockey world, but you think he's not just a coach. God is not just the coach, but he's the one who gets in the game
Yes.
and wins the victory for the
Yes.
team. And
I love that metaphor.
yeah,
He's on the ice, man.
yeah, he's on the ice, and he's the author and finisher. He's not just the one who says what salvation is,
Yeah.
but he's the one who comes in and he finishes it.
Yeah.
And that whole working out of grace on this marred image, these humans that have marred the image of the deity, it seems like there is a issue with Satan with that in the Bible, where he really is bent about that.
Yeah, I think that gets back to origins, but absolutely true. Yeah, Satan and whatever angels are in allegiance with us, the Bible uses the figure of Satan talking about his angels.
Yeah.
So there's angelic spirits that are aligned with Satan. They're twisted about that. They hate it.
Yeah. And so this grace is quite astounding in a multiple facet of ways, and how it relates to the righteousness of God, in the judgment of God on sin, and his righteous wrath, his indignation, and his reconciliation, and how this is all playing out in the Messiah. Because the Bible's message, when I was learning the Bible underneath you, for the first time, I wasn't raised in the church, but I was like, that's what blew my mind, was like that how like a deity would care for people so much that there would be this infusion into their world,
Yes.
and an infusion into the body, the incarnation, and taking that body into what we can't conquer, into death, and literally moving into death, with a human body to conquer it.
Yeah, the life that he lived was lowly and as a servant. And as it says in Philippians, he humbled himself to death, even the death of the cross. And all of that, it shows how the great extent to which Jesus went to identify with sinful humanity in his incarnation, just again and again and again.
Yeah. So you taught this Ephesians 3.
Yep.
And it is the mind-blowing, I think, part of the book. It is one of the like when I look at Ephesians.
Yeah, there's a few mind blowers in Ephesians, but that's certainly on the list.
Yeah, that whole idea that God's using us to display His grace to angelic beings is definitely in there. I mean, when you sat through the conference, I mean, was there any person that you kind of looked at and you got a lot out of? I know you've probably heard Dave Rolfe a lot. Or was it Dave Rolfe?
No, Dave Rolfe wasn't
not
here at
Dave
the
Rolfe.
conference.
Oh man.
So Don McClure was
Yeah,
there.
Don
I'm thinking David Rosales taught.
Okay, David
Bob
Rosales.
Claycamp
Yeah.
taught. Tony Clark.
Yeah, I was thinking of David Rosales.
Ken Graves. Yeah, I mean all those guys. And to be honest, with a book as great as Ephesians, you just kind of have to get out of the way and let the text do its thing. And the guys did such a great job with that. Pastor Scott this morning,
Yeah.
he delivered a great message
Man.
on that Ephesians 6. What's kind of funny, when I saw, okay, he's going to teach on Ephesians 6, I thought that he was going to focus only on the spiritual warfare.
He like bypassed the beginning part.
And you know what? I mean, because I don't know the right word. That's kind of the sexy part. That's kind of the thing. Oh, everybody's
Yeah.
curious about and this and that.
Yeah.
But he did such a masterful job of looking at the chapter as a whole and presenting as a whole and putting the pieces together in it.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, and you know what I thought was really cool about Pastor Scott's breakdown of Ephesians 6 in that way was you really got the flow of kind of the
Yes.
chapter better.
Yes.
And instead of just honing in on this, like a YouTube trailer clip
Yeah.
of, spiritual warfare, all that, you really got the flow of the warfare for us to get, distracted from
Yes.
serving Jesus
Yes.
in really practical ways.
Yeah.
And I thought that was something that was almost like an eye-opener. Where I think a lot of people could have walked away and went like, whoa,
Yeah.
like, man, I'm distracted. Yeah. Like I'm caught up in the political world and this world and that world. And I'm talking more about, what's going on politically than really getting out the gospel. I've become distracted from the Great Commission.
Yeah. And it's something that we really got to be. Good things can become distractions to us.
Right. And that's what I thought kind of drove,
Yeah.
Was kind of provocative in the message.
Well, then you get last night, Pastor Ed Taylor, he did this amazing message of encouragement from Ephesians chapter 3, verses 20 and 21. And it was just spot on. I tell you, he had a line in there that this didn't encompass the whole theme of his message, but a big part of it was he just talked about, how did we get where we are to today, And he said, look, when I started out, I had zeal without knowledge. But then somehow I ended up having knowledge without zeal.
Oh, that's good.
And man, I mean, that was like, oh man, Lord.
Ed Taylor, it seems like when he speaks, he brings a vulnerability,
Yeah,
to his, that's one of the things how God uses that guy,
absolutely.
right? It's like he's not afraid to go there.
Yeah, and he he challenges
Yeah.
his hearers in a way, but in a powerful way, he kind of earns the right to do that through his own vulnerability.
Yeah.
You hear Ed Taylor preach, and man, he's bringing it to you.
Yeah.
He's not shaking a finger in your face. He's like, man, this is all of us, and we got to deal with this. It's a powerful way that the Lord uses him.
Yeah, and I know he has a book, Ed Taylor. It's about I think dealing with your past.
Yeah, letting go.
Yeah,
of the
letting
past,
go.
yeah.
And I have that book actually at our house, and I've read through it a couple times.
Yeah.
I got quite a past, and so I have 3 dads. I have a lot of things, so it's good to get some great reminders in that book, and I'm sure a lot of people have been ministered to in Colorado, where he's shepherding.
Absolutely.
So what's kind of new for you right now, just in the ministry?
One big new thing for us is just what now, it's almost 3 months ago now, this Enduring Word Study Bible came out from Thomas Nelson.
Yeah.
So I've had this online Bible commentary that's been available for the last 30 years online. This year's the 30th year that it first appeared on Blue Letter Bible. And I mean, that's just been this wonderful opportunity that God's given me over the years that I'm super grateful for. But a little more than, about 3.5 years ago, Thomas Nelson came to me and said, hey, do you want to do an Enduring Word Study Bible? And I'm like, whoa, yeah, that would be awesome. So I had to take my whole commentary and kind of cull out the 15%, actually it was like 13% of material by word count that would give the most clarity, be the most applicational, just the most helpful stuff from all my commentary, and put it in the notes of a study Bible. And that was pretty cool. It came out November 11th. It's been selling well, praise the Lord. I'm very happy about that. But man, it's kind of helping me reach a whole new audience with this content that I think God is using.
Yeah, it's very cool. We've been selling them here at the fellowship, which has been a blast. It made Christmas awesome because
Easy Christmas, huh?
Easy Christmas, man. I was like, what am I going to get Sylvia? Oh, I know.
Yeah, there you go, right there,
totally.
man.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
This is from our audience, and this is from Annette. So thanks, Annette, for the question. And it is, are negative confessions biblical?
Well, do we find people making what are called negative confessions in the Bible? I suppose so. There's people saying negative things, negative anticipations about the future. But in the way, Annette, that term is usually used in Christian vocabulary and in the way Christians talk, it's really not a valid concept. And the concept that most, and I don't know exactly how you mean it, Annette, but I've heard a lot of people use it in the sense that if we say something negative about our future, it has like a power to create that negative thing. And that we sort of create our own future by what we say, either in a negative sense or in a positive sense. And that has a lot more to do with science of mind and new thought kind of approaches to life than it really has to do with biblical Christianity. So I'm all for people speaking the truth that God puts in His Word and believing His promises. But you know what? You're not going to make yourself sick by saying, I'm sick or I'm feeling sick. That doesn't create the sickness in you. And in the way that people use that idea of a negative confession, that's often how they're using it. So that concept, I think, it gives a creative power to the words we speak that the Bible doesn't give, that same creative power.
Okay. So, Annette, thanks for the question. It's a good question. A lot of people, I think, come in different circles where that's kind of a popular thing.
Yeah, and you know what? Look, I mean, if it were true that saying, oh, I feel sick, would actually make me be sick, well, then I would want to be careful of that. But here's the thing. What a pursuit of that kind of thinking does is it makes somebody live in kind of a pretend world. I remember years ago, Bo, this was like in the 70s, maybe the 80s. I was watching some Christian television program, and there was one of these guys who believed in a kind of positive confession thing, against the negative confession thing. And he was being interviewed, and the interviewer asked him, well, listen, you're into this positive confession kind of thing. And he said, didn't you have a massive heart attack like 3 months ago? And the guy laughed and he said, well, no, I didn't have a massive heart attack. I had the symptoms of a massive heart attack. And it's like, bro, if what you believe leads you to live in this world of unreality, then God is here to meet us in the real world. And whatever you want to say about that guy's heart attack, he didn't create the heart attack by saying, I think I'm having a heart attack. So yeah, but this is in some Christian circles, this is taught and it's believed by some well-meaning people who just want to walk right with the Lord.
Okay. What, in your experience of kind of church life and church leadership, what are some of the challenges that you see staff have? You've had Calvary Chapel, Oxnard, Calvary Chapel, Simi Valley, Calvary in Germany. You came back and you were at Calvary Chapel, Santa Barbara, which you took over for a very popular pastor.
Yes.
There.
Yeah.
And that's not like a tiny fellowship.
No, it was by far the largest church I had ever pastored.
Yeah.
I mean, more than 1,000 people when I came to it.
Yeah.
In 2010 was when I came there, and I followed a blessed pastor from a wonderful man named Ricky Ryan, who had been there for 20 years before I came there.
Wow. So what do you see like in your just all these different church environments, what can help a staff to stay focused and strong and, have you seen things that really break up a staff or really, things like that? Like what are some things that you've learned?
You know that the New Testament, especially the letters of Paul, are filled with these one another exhortations. Love one another, forgive one another, be long-suffering with one another, be forbearing with one another. Yeah. All these things. I think that's good and appropriate counsel for every believer to practice towards each other. But if it's not present among like the staff, the ministry team of the church, there's no way that it's going to filter out to the rest of the church. Mm. And so I would put a focus on those great one another's of the New Testament and say we need to, by the power of the Spirit of God, as He works in us and through us, we need to endeavor to live these out to the very best of our ability.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's good. Ingalil.
Yes.
Your wife.
Amazing woman.
Yeah, I know my wife's not the only woman who's blessed to hang out with her.
Yeah. And we got that common ground. We're both married to some remarkable women.
Yeah, totally. We both value those relationships. We've been around our wives for a long time. She also is very involved in ministry.
Yes.
And tell me a little bit about just what God's doing in her life.
Okay, now, living her life as a pastor's wife, especially a senior or lead pastor's wife, Ingalil had a lot of the kind of ministry activities that you would expect, leading women's ministry, teaching women's Bible studies. She's done plenty of that through her life, but she also had her own particular gifts and abilities that came from a combination of spiritual gifting, practical education, and then just some of it, just how she's wired as a person. And what she does is she does this amazing work of dental clinics in developing nations. And I can't even think of how many. It's somewhere between 15 and 20 nations all around the world. Asia, Europe, Latin America, I don't know. Well, North America. Mexico's part of North America. All over the place. She's been, and sometimes she leads the team. Sometimes she's a team member. It's kind of this organic thing that she does in particular with another gal who also happens to be a pastor's wife. The pastor's from Florida. The pastor's name is Greg Bresnick. He pastors a church called Reach Orlando, which is a Calvary Chapel. And his wife's name is Janelle. And kind of Ingalil and Janelle, they kind of take turns leading the teams. But even when they're not leading, they're working together. And they go into countries, they do life-changing dental work for people. And most of the people that they serve with these dental ministries are people who have never been to a dentist before in their life. And they go there and they help, and they always do it in conjunction with a local ministry so that the people who have been blessed in Jesus' name have a contact there in the community that they can really connect with and deepen their own walk with the Lord with.
Is it like an organization that people like can go on the website and there's like
they can go to enduringword.com, our website,
okay.
And under the About menu, there's a thing for global dental missions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you can subscribe to my wife's newsletter. She'll send out a periodic newsletter where she says, "Hey, we went to this trip." Show lots of cool pictures. And boy, I'm telling you, man, she's got gnarly pictures. Now, she doesn't publish those. I get to see those.
Yeah.
But of like this dental work and teeth that she pulled and stuff like this, just amazing work that's
She
being
has
done
sent
out
me
there.
a couple, just
Has she sent you some of
just
those?
on the, just
Yeah,
just
yeah.
privately.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
hey, Bo, take a look at this.
Yeah. No, like, wow. Yeah. But that's awesome. And she not only, does that, but
Yeah.
she is involved in many women's lives.
That's right. Not only does she does a dental mission, she loves that because God's really given my wife a spirit of adventure and initiative. And man, she goes and she spends herself on these dental missions works. So there's that. Then there's also what she does with teaching and leading a women's retreat or a women's ministry kind of thing. She'll do that kind of thing. But you know what else she does? She invests in the life of some pastors' wives and ministry people that she knows that just, maybe they could use the help and they need somebody to talk to. And she's got like a group of women that I guess today we would call it coaching. But she doesn't call it that, and she doesn't know. But she just loves these gals, and in so many ways, the Lord uses her.
Yeah.
And not the least, I'll tell you what her favorite thing is to do in serving the Lord. It's to serve the Lord by loving on her grandchildren. That's what she loves most of all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when I think of your wife, I think of someone who is out in the backyard, picking avocados.
That's it. Yep.
And it's funny. It's like, probably people are like, man, I don't think of her that way, but that's how I think of her.
Yeah.
And just such a, just loves to be around her family and loves to be around her home.
That's right.
That kind of thing. I'm not going to tell everybody about the time that the police officers came to your house because we were shooting fireworks.
That was a big boom. That was like more than I was expecting. But that kind deputy was very cool, very cool. But I suppose if I would have come in with some attitude, it could have gone sideways. But it was all cool.
I know, just that was amazing.
Wasn't that?
Yeah, and for those that don't know, privy to what we're talking about, we're just talking about a 4th of July, fun, We're just having 4th of July fun.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it just happens
I know.
your neighborhood wasn't too happy with it.
What's wrong with those people, man? It's the 4th of July.
I thought the place would be lit up.
I know. I thought it would be like applauding or something. But, some nervous person on the street next over calls the police. What are you going to do? Yeah.
I know. And it's so sad, right? It's like, we've had some neat experiences.
Yeah.
I remember hanging out with you on a friend's boat when the 4th of July was going on.
That was so
one year.
fun. Yes.
And that was amazing.
Yeah.
Hanging out. And, let's get back to your wife. Women's issues are big.
Yeah.
I know a lot's gone on with like kind of a more popular movement in today's Christianity with women becoming pastors.
Right.
And that's kind of a little bit of a popular push, we could say. I don't know how popular it is, but it seems like it's kind of a trend anyway. I know there's some even very good-sized fellowships in our city that seem to have maybe gone in that direction. And but we're not the only city. I'm sure it's just
No.
all around. But does Ingalil ever talk about that or
She talks about it from a unique perspective.
Yeah.
Because she comes, she grew up in Sweden.
Yep.
And Sweden was and is a very feminist-oriented society. There are some people who think that the sexes male and female in Sweden, that they have the most equality there than any place else.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure somebody might dispute that, but it's a very feminist society. And she just kind of grew up with a lot of those assumptions and a lot of that thinking. And part of her testimony is that over time, God, through his word, really showed her that absolutely positively, yes, men and women have equal worth and equal standing before God at the cross. I mean, that's just kind of unquestioned. Ingalil understands that, and that's just what the Bible plainly teaches. But that she does believe, because I mean, I think it's accurate. I mean, me as a Bible guy, we're kind of in this together, that the Bible teaches that there's two spheres in life where God ordains male headship, and that's in the home and that's in the church. Now, people can have debates whether or not God ordains male headship, generally in society and such, but we know from what the Bible clearly says that it's in those two arenas that God says, hey, I want men to take the lead, the husband in the home, and it's important to say qualified men in the church. It's not just like somebody's maleness qualifies them for leadership in God's family.
That's a good point.
Yeah, absolutely. But it has to be the leadership of qualified men in the church. And this is something that Ingalil has really had to reckon with and deal with in her life, and that God's brought her just around to a beautiful place of seeing the appropriateness, the truth of it, the beauty of it, and the goodness of it. And Bo, you know Ingalil. She's no wallflower.
No.
She's a woman of activity and initiative and that.
Yeah.
But she understands that that really is awesome and appropriate and works out under God's plan, under God's leadership. So I'd put forth my wife an example of how, and especially an example for people who think that God's pattern of submission means that a woman should be weak and invisible and do nothing,
Yeah.
just kind of cower in a
Yeah.
room somewhere.
Yeah,
And I'd say, man, look at my wife.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to see how she is a great example of how there is such a diversity of gifts that I think too many women, like, they kind of short sell themselves and think like, oh, I'm kind of regulated to this.
Yes.
And she's a great example, and I believe my wife is too, of just there's such a vast array of ministry
Yes.
that is to be done. And when you have a creative mind and an ambitious heart and a courage to step out, man, you could minister. I look at my wife, who such a quiet girl growing up, and she has been a part of a soccer community where she's run adult league soccer in Tucson with her friends for the past 25 years. And it's grown and grown and grown to where she had the first USA national team players honored at a big tournament that they put on this
No
last
way.
year. Yeah,
That's so
amazing.
cool.
And and Sylvia got a chance to play with them and
Wow.
honor them at the tournament.
Wow.
And but to see them flourish and just move in these different directions is unbelievable.
Okay, let me tell you a problem, though. Sometimes, maybe I even say a lot of times, the reason why that doesn't happen is you have a husband
Yeah.
who doesn't care about his wife's gifts and talents.
Right.
And look, we understand that there's a very appropriate focus that a woman should have on the home and the children, and that especially when the kids are young.
Yeah.
But that doesn't last forever.
Right.
And the emphasis that my wife has in this dental mission thing and the other things that she does, it's because she has the margin in her life to do it. But it's also because, honestly, I look at her and I say, God's gifted you. He's talented you. He's called you to these things. I want to support you and stand behind him in doing it.
And as a man, it's like that's a part of the, if you will, priestly duty of men.
Yes.
That sometimes is not spoken of that much within the teaching of even in the scripture, of to be able to observe your wife and to say, hey, just like we would in the church, observe a person.
Yep.
And go like, hey, let's tap into that.
Exactly.
Well,
what's it saying, Peter? That husbands should dwell with their wives with understanding. And one aspect, I don't say it's everything, but one aspect is say, look, these are gifts, these are callings that God has given my wife. I have some responsibility to say, babe, you can do this and you should do this. Look at how God can use you in this, and be like a real encourager for her.
Yeah, that's, I think of like an analogy. I have another sports analogy is like baseball, because I think baseball really fits with a lot of cool analogies.
Yeah.
Especially like diversity and unity. Like, especially, wife, husband, the headship within the church too. Not everybody can be a pitcher. Not everybody can be a catcher, right? Not everybody's going to play first base and have that cool baseball mitt, that first base baseball mitt.
Those first baseman's mitts are really cool.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to be shortstop. Not everybody's going to be these players. It doesn't matter where you are on the field. You are vital. You're vital. You can't play baseball without a first baseman.
Yeah.
The ball is going to get hit there. No one's going to get the ball.
Yeah.
A ball can get hit anywhere, but if you don't have a first baseman, no one's getting out. So it's like, to me, like, when I speak of these issues, I think, like baseball, we all got an important role to play, but it's different.
Yes. And as Paul used that metaphor of the body, like in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, every part of the body is important.
Yes.
Some get more visibility than others. Some kind of seem more important, but they all have an important place in the body.
Yeah, so true. Hey, man, that was a fun show.
What are we done already?
We're done already. This is it. It's 50. It says 50.
I see
start
the
wrapping
countdown.
up.
Look at that right there. Man, this has been super fun, Bo. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. Looking forward to what you're going to share tonight. So we'll stay tuned.
Fantastic. Thank you.
You've been listening to A Reason for Hope. Thank you again for joining us as we continue our journey through God's Word, one question of the heart at a time. Until we meet again, we would love to connect with you. You can text or email your questions to questionsforhope@gmail.com. You can also find out more about our ministry at calvarychristianfellowship.com. And be sure to join us next time on A Reason for Hope. A Reason for Hope is an outreach ministry of Calvary Christian Fellowship in Tucson, Arizona.